Have you ever felt that something bigger is at play, as if the pieces of a puzzle are about to fall into place? The truth is, they are no longer hiding. The leader of the new order is about to be revealed, and the shadows in which they have been lurking are dissipating. You are not alone in this search for answers. Many of us feel a deep pain, a longing to understand what is happening around us. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. In this video, we will explore the signs indicating the arrival of this revelation and how you can prepare for what is to come. Change is imminent, and together, we will uncover the truth that will transform our lives. Now, let's move on to the first topic, but first, just check if you're subscribed to the channel because the upcoming videos will be a series of content that will help you improve your life. Let's get to the first topic. 1. The power of the mind, decisions that shape your reality. A story about self-discovery and transformation. Imagine a young man named Lucas, who always dreamed of becoming an artist. Since childhood, he drew and painted, but as he grew older, the voices around him began to say he should choose a safer career, like engineering or law. Over time, Lucas began to doubt his talent and distanced himself from art. One day, he found an old diary he had written in his childhood, filled with sketches and dreams. That discovery made him reflect, who am I really? What do I want for my life? It was then that Lucas decided to reconnect with art. He began dedicating a few hours a week to drawing and, with that, rediscovered his passion and purpose. When limitations become critical. Just like Lucas, many people face limitations imposed by themselves or others. The fear of failure, social pressure, and lack of support can create barriers that distance us from our true desires. If Lucas had continued to follow others' expectations, he would have never found the happiness that art brought him. Now, think about the real world. Lucas's story is a representation of what many live through daily. What is stopping you from pursuing your dreams? Have you ever stopped to think about the beliefs that limit your life? Just as Lucas had to confront his insecurities, you may also need to challenge your limitations. When you don't believe in your potential, lack of self-confidence can be devastating. Imagine a situation where you want to apply for a job, but you believe you're not good enough. This belief can be so paralyzing that it prevents you from seizing opportunities that could change your life. The first step towards change is believing you are capable. Remember the verse in Romans chapter 12 verse 2, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Romans chapter 12 verse 2. Decisions that shape your life. Self-awareness is a powerful tool. By understanding your motivations, values, and passions, you can make decisions that align your life with your goals. Lucas realized that art was not just a passion but an essential part of who he was. He decided to invest in classes, connect with other artists, and share his work online. The lesson of the small step. Sometimes, change begins with small steps. If you want to improve your health, for example, you can start by walking for 15 minutes a day. If you want to learn a new language, you can dedicate 10 minutes daily to learning apps. These small steps can lead to significant transformations over time. The biblical perspective. The Bible speaks about the power of thought and the importance of renewing the mind. In Philippians chapter 4 verse 8, we are reminded to think about things that are good, true, and just. This focus can change how we see the world and ourselves. What we can do. Just as Lucas realized he needed to seek alternatives, we too can prepare ourselves. Here are some suggestions. Reflection. Take time to know yourself better and understand what you truly want. Action. Start taking small steps toward your goals. Support. Connect with people who encourage you and share your aspirations. Personal development. Invest in courses and workshops that foster your skills. The choice is yours. Just as Lucas had the choice to start over, you also have the power to change your reality. Don't let external voices or your own doubts keep you from achieving your dreams. The Bible teaches us that God has a plan for each of us, and it's our duty to seek it. If this story inspired you, remember, the choice to take control of your life is in your hands. By reflecting on your beliefs and challenges, you can begin to make choices that truly represent who you are and what you want to be. And if the decisions that shape your life are merely reflections of what you believe is possible? This is the question that leads us to reflect on the power of self-discovery and the decisions that can truly transform our reality. Let's explore together how this dynamic unfolds in our daily lives and what we can do to regain control. Download our ebook now and discover biblical prophecies that connect to personal transformation. Practical strategies for developing your self-confidence and decision-making ability. Inspiring stories of people who overcame their limitations and achieved their dreams. Understanding what is truly at stake is more urgent than ever. The global changes directly affect your life, the time to prepare is now. Don't wait until it's too late. Be part of the change. Take advantage of an exclusive 24-hour discount. Don't miss this opportunity to access crucial information at a special price. 2. What the Bible says about a one-world government, a deep dive into the prophecies. The Bible, a book full of wisdom and warnings, presents us with an intriguing vision of humanity's future. At its core, we find the prophecy of a one-world government that will emerge during a tumultuous period in history known as the Great Tribulation. Let's explore this narrative in depth, revealing its implications and the teachings it offers us. The Great Tribulation, the prophetic context. The Great Tribulation is a central concept in biblical eschatology, particularly in the books of Daniel and Revelation. This 7-year period is portrayed as a time of immense suffering, chaos, and despair. Imagine a world where natural disasters intensify, conflicts between nations become commonplace, and people, in search of peace, become vulnerable to the promises of security from a charismatic leader. During this critical phase, humanity will be challenged to confront its beliefs and values. The hardships that arise will serve as the perfect backdrop for the rise of a leader who promises to solve all problems. This powerful figure will not only dominate politically but will also shape the spirituality and morality of society. The powerful leader, charisma and control. This leader, often identified as the beast, is described as a master manipulator capable of uniting people under a single banner. He possesses a charisma that attracts crowds and promises stability amidst chaos. In Revelation chapter 13 verse 3, 4, we read that the beast will be worshipped, and nations will bow down before it, seeking answers in a time of crisis. This unified power will not only be political, it will extend to all spheres of life, controlling personal and collective decisions. The promises of prosperity and peace will be irresistible to many, leading people to accept the authority of this leader at the expense of their own freedom. The mark of the beast, a sign of submission. One of the most disturbing elements of this narrative is the imposition of the mark of the beast. This mark will serve as an identification system that allows people to participate in the economy. In Revelation chapter 13 verse 16, 17, it is written, "And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." This economic control suggests a modern form of slavery, where freedom of choice is sacrificed for conformity. The mark symbolizes not only adherence to a regime but also a rejection of the values and principles that once guided people's lives. The spiritual meaning of the mark. The mark of the beast can be seen as a symbol of loyalty to the system that this leader will implement. Accepting it means embracing a new reality where individual choices are subordinated to centralized control. Those who resist this imposition may face significant hardships, such as being unable to participate in the economy. This concept evokes deep questions about the nature of faith and spirituality. The mark is not just a physical issue, it carries significant spiritual implications. Accepting the mark is a rejection of commitment to God and the spiritual principles that many consider non-negotiable. The warning of the Scriptures, vigilance and preparation. The biblical prophecies about the one-world government and the Great Tribulation serve as a call to vigilance. The scriptures alert us to be aware of the changes in our world. This is not just a warning about the future but an invitation to reflection and action in the present. Education and knowledge, understanding the organizations and systems forming around us is crucial. Studying the prophecies and how they relate to current reality helps develop a critical view of unfolding events. Spiritual strengthening, connection with God is vital to resist the pressures of an oppressive system. Prayer, Bible study, and participation in faith communities are essential tools for maintaining a solid spiritual foundation. Community preparation, joining with others who share beliefs and values is a way to create a safe space for resistance. The strength of community is a powerful ally in times of uncertainty. Autonomy and independence, whenever possible, seeking ways to be more independent of centralized systems is crucial. This may involve strengthening personal skills, adopting alternative financial practices, or cultivating a rich and self-sufficient spiritual life. The connection to history and tradition. What makes these prophecies even more intriguing is their connection to human history. Throughout the centuries, there have always been attempts at unification and control. However, the Bible reminds us that despite the difficulties, hope and liberation are always within reach for those who remain faithful. Final reflection, the call to action. The warnings contained in the scriptures about a one-world government and the Great Tribulation are not merely a grim forecast but a call to action. What is at stake is individual freedom, connection with God, and the conscious choice between good and evil. As we move toward an uncertain future, vigilance, preparation, and spirituality become not only essential but a moral responsibility. We must be prepared to face these challenges with courage and faith, aware that truth will always prevail. After all, as the Bible teaches us, what happens in the physical realm often reflects a much greater spiritual battle, and the choice between light and darkness is one of the most significant we face. I am here to help you better understand what the Bible reveals about a one-world government and the Great Tribulation. As we explore this topic, let's uncover the warnings and teachings that these prophecies offer us. Feel free to leave your questions or reflections in the comments. Together, we can discover how to prepare for these challenging times. 3. Changes in the world, the example of Kenya. Let's imagine a school where each student has a badge. At first, this seems like a good idea. It helps to know who is who, makes organization easier, and keeps everything more secure. But what if, suddenly, the school principal says that only those with the badge can participate in activities and events? This could exclude some students, even if they want to take part. Thus, the badge that seemed so helpful might end up excluding people. In Kenya, something similar happened. The government decided to create a digital identification system called MAA Namba, which would function like a badge for all citizens. The idea was that this would help keep things in order, but what many didn't realize is that this system could limit people's freedom. The proposal was influenced by major global organizations, such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which have significant power and resources to help implement these ideas. Now, think about how many countries around the world are going through similar situations. They are adopting new rules and technologies that seem good at first glance, but in reality, they are handing over more control to these powerful organizations. Just like in the school, these changes can cause people to lose a bit of what they have, without realizing it. These examples show us that while technology and modernization can bring benefits, it's also important to be cautious. We need to stay alert to ensure that changes are not a way to control our lives more. It's always good to ask, will this really help all of us, or will only a few people benefit? 4. The domino effect of the 2008 financial crisis. Once upon a time, there was a prosperous city called Minneapolis, where happiness seemed to overflow at every corner. The sun shone over the bustling streets, and the aromas of fresh bread and roasted coffee filled the air. People walked cheerfully, stopping at shops that proudly displayed their merchandise. In particular, there was a toy store called Children's Dreams, which was the beating heart of the city. Miss Clara, a woman with a contagious smile and gray hair, knew all the little customers by name. Every time a child walked in, she welcomed them with a story about the latest toy on the shelf, making each visit special. One morning, however, the tranquility of Moneypolis was shaken by an unexpected event. Miss Clara, with grand aspirations for her store, decided to invest in a new line of imported toys. Dreaming of success, she acquired a shipment of colorful and innovative toys from a distant supplier. But, in an unfortunate twist of fate, the cargo arrived damaged. Broken and scratched toys, along with exorbitant shipping costs, turned her dream into a financial nightmare. With no viable alternatives and a heavy heart, Miss Clara was forced to close the doors of children's dreams. The news spread like wildfire. Neighbors and friends of Miss Clara, who used to buy toys for their children and grandchildren, were alarmed. The conversations on the sidewalks changed tone, whispers of concern permeated the air. If such a beloved store, which always brought joy to children, was in trouble, what could happen to the other stores in the city? Insecurity began to take hold of the community spirit, and soon the hustle and bustle in the streets diminished. Gradually, the domino effect began to manifest. With Miss Clara's store closed, the ice cream parlor next door, which relied on the flow of families that often passed by, saw its sales plummet. The atmosphere of fun and joy that once filled the town square was replaced by an air of uncertainty and apprehension. Families began to hesitate to spend money, fearing that their own jobs might be next to go. The neighboring merchants, a bakery, a bookstore, and a small cafe, soon felt the effects of this change. The bakery, which used to see long lines every morning, now faced a reduced flow of customers. People began to cut back on spending, opting to buy only the essentials. The aroma of fresh bread, which once brought smiles and lively conversations, was now enveloped in a sad silence. The cafe, which was always filled with laughter and chatter, now received only a few hesitant customers. Over time, the situation became critical. The closing of Miss Clara's store generated a wave of layoffs. The bakery attendant, the cafe barista, and even the bookstore delivery person were forced to seek new jobs in a city that now seemed to be trapped in a vicious cycle of despair. The bonds that once united the community began to fray. Families, who used to gather to celebrate birthdays and achievements, now found themselves struggling to put food on the table. What started as a small local crisis quickly transformed into a major economic collapse. The city of Moneypolis, once a symbol of prosperity and happiness, was now engulfed in a cloud of desolation and fear. Residents faced a new reality, where what was once guaranteed now seemed uncertain. This domino effect in Moneypolis serves as a microcosm of the global financial crisis of 2008. What began as liquidity problems in some banks and the collapse of the real estate market in the United States quickly spread worldwide, causing devastating impacts. Banks, interconnected like threads in a web, began to crumble as confidence evaporated. A small error in one financial sector resulted in a storm that dragged entire countries into recession. Thousands of people lost their jobs, their homes, and in many cases, their hopes. The streets of cities became quieter, and the feeling of insecurity was palpable. Homes, which were once refuges of comfort and joy, became places of constant worry about the future. Just like the pieces of a puzzle, every global economy is interconnected. When one piece shifts, the entire structure can collapse. What may seem like an isolated failure in a small store can, in fact, be a harbinger of a large-scale crisis. That's why it's essential to stay alert to the vulnerabilities around us, as small problems, if left unaddressed, can turn into monumental challenges. Therefore, the story of Moneypolis teaches us a valuable lesson about the importance of solidarity and paying attention to the needs of the community. Caring for one another and being proactive in addressing issues that seem small can prevent problems from escalating. Each of us is part of this great puzzle called society, and the well-being of all depends on the care we take with each piece. If you're enjoying this journey through the story of Moneypolis and the impact of the financial crisis of 2008, don't forget to give it a like. It helps me get more exposure on YouTube and bring even more interesting videos like this to you. Each click is an encouragement for us to continue exploring these important topics together. Let's make this conversation grow. Now, let's move on to the next topic. 5. The vulnerability of our digital infrastructure. Nowadays, our lives are intertwined with technology in ways that few could have imagined a few decades ago. From the moment we wake up to the moment we close our eyes at night, we depend on a vast network of devices, software, and digital systems. Our computers and smartphones are the windows through which we connect to the world, facilitating everything from online shopping and social interactions to medical consultations and financial transactions. However, this dependence brings with it a critical question: what happens when this technology fails? On an apparently ordinary day, the digital routine of the world was drastically interrupted by an unexpected incident involving a renowned cybersecurity software called CrowdStrike. In an attempt to enhance protection against digital threats, the developers launched an update that, instead of reinforcing security, triggered a series of catastrophic failures. Imagine, for a moment, that on a sunny day, a global switch was turned off. The result was a digital blackout that affected millions of computers simultaneously. Large companies, international banks, and even hospitals were put on high alert. The systems that once functioned in perfect harmony were now disjointed. Screens that normally displayed crucial information turned dark or showed error messages, as if a puzzle had its pieces mixed up. Employees of financial institutions were unable to access account data, while doctors and nurses struggled to attend to patients as their electronic record systems were down. The chain effects of this error were devastating. Countless flights were cancelled, leaving disoriented and frustrated passengers at airports. Lines at service desks stretched for hours as people awaited answers amid the chaos. Moreover, emergency services, which typically operate as a safety net, faced difficulties. Calls for medical assistance and rescue could not be completed, putting lives at risk. The impact extended even further. Entire industries were forced to halt operations. Factories that relied on automated systems were paralyzed, and the global supply chain began to wobble. Essential products did not reach their destinations, and delivery deadlines became irrelevant. The fragility of this interconnection became visible to all, like a spider's web that, when pulled at a single point, causes vibrations throughout the structure. This incident was not just a reminder of how interconnected our digital infrastructure is, but also of the vulnerability that this interconnection brings. Our digital lives are supported by a delicate balance, where a small error can turn into a global crisis. The image of the spider's web is particularly appropriate. A disturbance at one point can lead to unpredictable consequences at all others. Furthermore, this fragility can be exploited by malicious individuals. Hackers and cybercriminals are always lurking, ready to take advantage of security vulnerabilities. They can manipulate systems and cause chaos, becoming the true harbingers of digital disorder. Therefore, we must remain constantly vigilant, protecting our data and systems, and understanding that technology, despite being a powerful ally, also presents significant risks. In light of this scenario, awareness of the vulnerability of our digital infrastructure is essential. We need to develop a precautionary mindset, adopting practices that minimize risks. This includes not only having effective security systems but also maintaining a backup plan, a contingency strategy that can be activated in case technology fails. Let us be proactive in our approaches to technology because, while it can provide us with convenience and efficiency, it also requires responsibility and caution. Ultimately, what we learn from the CrowdStrike incident is that technology is a powerful tool, but it relies on a solid and trustworthy foundation. When we neglect this responsibility, we put at risk not only our personal information but also the security and functioning of systems that are crucial for the well-being of society. May we navigate the digital world wisely, protecting ourselves from the traps it may hide. 6. The day technology stopped. Once upon a time, in a not-so-distant future, there was a city called Technoville. The inhabitants of Technoville were known for their devotion to technology. They relied on apps for almost everything, from the time to wake up to ordering dinner. Homes were filled with smart devices that managed security, temperature, and even lighting. Life was easy and comfortable, but the dependence on technology grew with each passing day. One morning, while the sun shone over the busy streets, something unusual happened. A renowned security software called CrowdStrike, which protected the networks of various companies in the city, released an important update. Everyone eagerly awaited this update, believing it would bring significant improvements. However, little did they know that, instead of security, a true calamity was about to unfold. On that day, Maria, a young programmer, was in her office, ready to start another workday. She opened her computer and, instead of her usual desktop, found a black screen with an unknown error. Intrigued, she tried to restart it, but nothing worked. Around her, panic began to spread. Her co-workers were also experiencing similar problems. What should have been a productive morning soon turned into chaos. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, the local hospital was also hit. The systems managing patient records and vital information were down. Dr. Silva, a dedicated doctor, looked worriedly at his computer screen, where the list of patients waiting for care should have been. Emergency calls began to increase, but without access to data, he didn't know who needed help the most urgently. Hours passed, and the city began to feel the chain effects of the technological failure. Scheduled flights at the airport were cancelled, leaving travelers lost and confused. Lines at information desks stretched on as people anxiously asked about their destinations. In the center of Technoville, shops closed their doors because they couldn't process payments, and suppliers who relied on technology to ship goods were paralyzed. Meanwhile, Maria decided to take action. With her innovative spirit, she gathered a group of colleagues to find a solution. They sat in a conference room, surrounded by laptops that wouldn't turn on. If we can't access the systems, we need to think outside the box, Maria said, determined. They began to devise contingency plans, proposing to use old-fashioned communication methods, like phone calls and pen and paper, to manage the crisis. 2 days passed, and chaos still reigned. Dr. Silva, at the hospital, saw the need to act quickly. He organized a team of volunteers, and instead of relying on technology, they used notebooks to jot down information about patients and their needs. With this approach, they were able to care for many who required urgent attention. Gradually, the people of Technoville began to realize that, while technology made their lives easier, it also made them vulnerable. The city united, learning the importance of being prepared for the unexpected. What started as a digital nightmare turned into a lesson in resilience and collaboration. After several weeks of uncertainty, the company responsible for the CrowdStrike update finally managed to resolve the issues. When the systems were restored, the city was different. The inhabitants of Technoville began to see technology not just as a convenience, but as a responsibility. They implemented stricter security measures and developed emergency plans to ensure that if something like this happened again, they would be prepared. The event became a landmark in the history of Technoville, known as the day technology stopped. People began to share stories about how they adapted to the crisis and how teamwork helped them overcome challenges. Maria and Dr. Silva became local heroes, symbolizing the strength of the community in the face of adversity. And so, the city of Technoville learned that, even in a world dependent on technology, true strength lies in the people who use it. They discovered that human connection and the ability to adapt are as vital as any digital device. From then on, the people of Technoville not only used technology, they also respected its fragility and were always prepared for whatever the future might bring. 7. The vulnerability of our digital infrastructure. In today's world, our society relies heavily on technology and digital infrastructure. Through computers, smartphones, and the internet, we carry out a multitude of daily activities, such as shopping, communication, and even healthcare. This dependence, while convenient, makes the digital infrastructure vulnerable to failures and attacks. A clear example of this fragility occurred with an incident related to the security software CrowdStrike. During a routine update, an unexpected error caused a failure in millions of devices worldwide. This situation had significant consequences, affecting essential sectors like banking and hospitals. The repercussions were widespread. Several essential services became unavailable, resulting in flight cancellations and disruptions in emergency services. Additionally, many companies, unable to operate without access to their systems, temporarily ceased operations. This incident highlighted the interconnectedness of technology. A problem in a single system can trigger a series of cascading failures, impacting various industries and thousands of people. The situation underscores the need for a proactive approach to cybersecurity and contingency planning. As technology advances, the risk of exploitation by cybercriminals also increases, as they can take advantage of these vulnerabilities to cause harm. Therefore, it is crucial for companies and individuals to adopt appropriate protective measures, such as regular software updates, security training, and the implementation of incident response protocols. Furthermore, it is important to develop a mindset of resilience. This means being prepared to deal with technological failures and having an alternative plan in case of disruptions. Technology should be viewed as a tool that complements our lives, but it also requires care and precautions to ensure that its vulnerabilities are not exploited. In summary, the vulnerability of our digital infrastructure is a reality that we all must acknowledge. The dependence on technology brings significant benefits, but it also imposes risks that cannot be ignored. By adopting robust security practices and preparing for the unexpected, we can mitigate these risks and protect both our personal lives and essential business operations. 8. What would happen if an evil leader had all this power? In a world not so different from ours, a feared and powerful character emerges from the shadows. Known as the Dominator, he is not just an ordinary villain, he is a master manipulator with the ability to influence and control everything around him. Imagine this evil being having access to all the technology and systems we use daily, from the internet to the essential services that sustain our lives. At first, the Dominator appears to be a charismatic leader, promising to solve problems and bring order. However, his true plans soon begin to unfold. He initiates a disinformation campaign, using his skills to alter the news and shape public perception. People, confused and disoriented, struggle to discern the truth from the lies he spreads. Gradually, trust among citizens dissolves, creating an atmosphere of paranoia. Imagine an ordinary day when suddenly, people wake up to find that the internet has become a desert of information. Social media, once vibrant with interaction, is now silent. Messages are not delivered, and calls cannot be completed. It feels as if a spell has been cast, erasing communication between friends and families. Fear and uncertainty engulf the population, leaving them feeling lost and isolated. The Dominator watches from his throne, a sinister smile on his face, as confusion and despair spread like a plague. In this new dark world, the Dominator has the power to decide who receives information and who remains in ignorance. The most vulnerable people, lacking access to accurate news, are at his mercy. He controls everything: who can buy food, who can access healthcare services, and even who can communicate with the outside world. Freedom of expression is stifled, and a shroud of oppression blankets society. Amid this darkness, the story of a small village emerges, where traditions of solidarity and unity have always prevailed. One night, a total blackout occurs, plunging the village into deep darkness. Panic quickly spreads, and people gather, worried about what might have caused the blackout. Without electricity, they cannot see anything at night, and fear of the unknown sets in. The next morning, a young girl named Lila, known for her courage and curiosity, decides she cannot stand idly by while everyone is frightened. With her heart pounding, she sets off toward the town's power tower, determined to discover what happened. On her way, she encounters a huge guard, who watches the entrance like a sentinel. His gaze is threatening, and his posture is rigid. Lila knows that confronting him physically would be a bad idea. Instead, she resorts to her cleverness. With a smile, she approaches and begins to tell amusing stories about her adventures, making him laugh and momentarily forget his duty. "Have you ever heard of the fish that wanted to fly?" Lila asks, and the guard, intrigued, finds himself laughing and letting go of his stern demeanor. As the laughter echoes, Lila realizes that the guard is not just an oppressor but a human being yearning for connection and fun. She uses this opening to suggest they press the button that would restore the power. Surprised by the idea and amused by the girl's courage, the guard hesitates, but his curiosity wins. With a friendly gesture, he lets her pass, and together they head to the control room. When Lila and the guard finally reach the control panel, the tension is palpable. She approaches the button, her heart racing with anticipation. With a decisive gesture, they press the button simultaneously. To everyone's joy, a wave of light bursts forth across the town, and the lights shine again. People come out of their homes, applauding and celebrating the return of light, joy spreading like wildfire in a dry field. The village, once dominated by the shadow of fear, is reborn in a splendor of unity and hope. Lila is hailed as a heroine, not only for restoring the light but for showing that courage and friendship can prevail over fear and oppression. The guard, now her ally, learns that control does not need to come from fear but from empathy and understanding. This narrative teaches us a powerful lesson: even when the world seems dominated by evil forces, there is always room for courage, friendship, and creativity. Just like Lila, we must find ways to work together, using our voices and hearts to resist tyrannical control. The light of hope can shine even in the darkest situations, and it is through unity and solidarity that we can face adversity and create a fairer and brighter world. As we confront the challenges of our time, remember that true strength lies in our ability to connect, understand, and fight for a better future. Even when the dominator seems to be in control, the light of friendship and solidarity can always triumph. 9. The importance of surveillance and control of technology. In the contemporary world, technology has become an omnipresent element, influencing every aspect of our lives. From how we communicate to how we consume, work, and interact socially, technological innovations offer unprecedented convenience and efficiency. However, with these advancements come significant concerns about privacy, security, and the control that individuals or entities may exert over our personal information. Surveillance and control of technology emerge as crucial themes that warrant in-depth analysis in modern society. Data collection and privacy concerns. Data collection is at the core of digital transformation and is a common practice among companies and governments that accumulate vast volumes of information about individuals. This collection goes beyond consumer data and includes personal preferences, behaviors, and social interactions. Through big data techniques, this information is analyzed to create detailed profiles that can predict our needs and desires. However, while this data can be used to personalize experiences and services, it raises serious concerns about privacy. The manipulation of personal data can lead to a range of problematic situations. For example, the use of algorithms that analyze online behaviors can result in highly targeted advertising campaigns that not only meet consumer needs but also influence their decisions in ways they may not perceive. Furthermore, the lack of clear regulations regarding the use of this data can lead to breaches of sensitive information or the sale of data to third parties without explicit user consent. Privacy scandals, such as the Facebook and Cambridge Analytica case, are alarming examples that highlight the vulnerability of personal data and the urgent need for legislation to protect citizens' privacy. Mass surveillance and civil liberties. Mass surveillance is a reality in many countries, where technologies such as security cameras, location tracking, and online activity monitoring have become commonplace. While some argue that these methods are necessary to ensure public safety and prevent crime, they also pose a significant risk to civil liberties. Excessive use of surveillance tools can create an environment of fear and distrust, where individuals feel constantly observed, leading to self-censorship and limitations on freedom of expression. Balancing security and freedom is a delicate issue. In healthy democracies, transparency about surveillance practices and oversight of how these technologies are implemented are essential to prevent abuses of power. Citizens who feel their lives are being intrusively monitored without justification may develop distrust towards institutions, undermining social cohesion and public trust. Therefore, it is crucial to have a robust public debate on the ethical implications of mass surveillance and to implement control mechanisms that ensure accountability. Cyber threats and security. In addition to surveillance issues, cyber threats present an increasing challenge in the digital age. As society becomes more dependent on digital infrastructures, vital sectors such as healthcare, transportation, and finance are increasingly exposed to risks. Cyber attacks can compromise personal data and simultaneously disrupt essential services, putting lives at risk and threatening economic stability. The consequences of a cybersecurity breach can be devastating. For instance, an attack on a hospital can disrupt medical treatments, jeopardizing patient health. In response to these risks, it is essential to develop robust cybersecurity strategies that include not only data protection but also employee awareness and training on best security practices. Public education on digital security is a crucial tool to empower citizens to protect their information and the surrounding infrastructure. Misinformation and manipulation of public opinion. Misinformation is an increasing concern in the information age, especially on social media platforms that provide a space for free expression but can also be manipulated to spread false news and influence public opinion. The dissemination of misinformation not only distorts the truth but can also impact democratic processes by influencing elections and eroding trust in institutions. Combating misinformation requires a collective effort involving governments, technology companies, and citizens. Governments must establish regulations that hold digital platforms accountable for misleading content, while companies should invest in fact-checking tools and algorithms that prioritize accurate and quality information. Additionally, media literacy should be promoted, teaching citizens to be critical consumers of information and to question sources before sharing content. 10. The effects of the words and images we use in our communications. In a small village surrounded by mountains, there was a girl named Clara. She was known for her incredible storytelling ability. Whenever Clara spoke, people stopped everything to listen to her, as her words were like magic. She had a special talent for using words that made people feel happy, sad, or even courageous. One day, Clara decided to organize a big festival in the village square. She wanted everyone to participate and bring their own stories. The people were excited and began preparing their presentations. Meanwhile, Clara thought about something important: how her words could affect the way people felt. She started talking to her friend, the old storyteller of the village, Mr. Favio. He explained to Clara that the words and images we choose to express ourselves have great power. When you say something beautiful, like "life is a flower full of colors," people feel cheerful and hopeful. But if you say something sad, like "flowers wilt without sun," they may feel sad too. With this in mind, Clara decided she wanted to use words that inspired and brought happiness during the festival. On the day of the event, the square was filled with smiling faces, and Clara began to tell her story about a beautiful butterfly flying freely in a field of flowers. The children laughed and applauded as they imagined the colorful butterfly dancing with the wind. As others shared their stories, Clara noticed how the words and images each person used had a different impact. When someone spoke about a rainy day, the expressions changed, and the energy of the audience grew heavier. But when someone told tales of exciting adventures, the excitement and joy returned. At the end of the festival, Clara went on stage and made a special request: "Let's use our words and images to create a better world. May our stories bring joy, courage, and love. Let's be like the butterfly and spread colors wherever we go." Everyone applauded and promised they would pay more attention to the words they chose. Thus, the village became an even more welcoming place, where words were used with care and affection, bringing happiness and hope to all. And this story teaches us that the words and images we use have incredible power. They can build or destroy, bring joy or sadness. Whenever we speak, we should remember that we are creating a world, and that each word can make a difference. Therefore, let's always choose words that bring light and love to our path. 11. The importance of authenticity and coherence in our actions and words. Imagine you have a superpower, the power to be exactly who you are, without fear of being judged. That is authenticity. Being authentic is like wearing a t-shirt that you truly love, one that reflects your style and personality, instead of wearing something that doesn't suit you just to please others. When you are authentic, people notice that your words and actions come from the heart, and this creates a genuine connection. Now, think of coherence as a bridge that connects what you say to what you do. It's as if you have a ruler that measures whether your actions align with your words. For example, if you say you value friendship, you should act in a way that shows you truly care about your friends. If a friend needs help and you're there to support them, it demonstrates that you genuinely believe what you said. This congruence is essential because it builds trust. When people see that you are always the same, regardless of the situation, they feel more secure in opening up and trusting you. Let's imagine a situation where you are with a group of friends. If you behave in a way that makes everyone have fun and feel comfortable, but then act differently when you're with another group, it can confuse people. They might wonder, who is this person really? This confusion can create barriers, making it harder to strengthen the bonds of friendship. Being authentic and coherent not only strengthens your relationships but also helps you feel more secure in who you are. Think about how you feel when you are true to yourself. It's like wearing armor that protects you from criticism and insecurities. You become more confident and better able to face life's challenges. Furthermore, when you are authentic, you inspire others to be genuine as well. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. By being sincere and genuine, you encourage others to reveal themselves and share their own feelings and experiences. This creates an environment of honesty and support, where everyone feels comfortable being themselves. So, the next time you communicate, remember your superpower of authenticity. Speak about what you truly believe and act in accordance with your values. This sincerity not only attracts people who share your ideas but also builds stronger and more lasting relationships. After all, being who you are is one of the most powerful things you can do. Well, we've reached the end of the video, but before we go, I'd like you to comment, "I love Jesus," down below. I'll be very happy with your participation, and it will encourage me to bring more videos like this. I've linked a related video above that you just watched. I'm sure it will help you even more with your challenges. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to keep receiving content. Until the next video.